Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Draven updated complete guide. Of course, we have had a lot of changes from patch 4.4 onwards. We're no longer on patch 4.4, but of course, as you guys know, it takes some time to churn out all of these gameplays and these updated guides. So now we're in 4.4a. But anyways, of course, before we begin, don't forget to check out Draven's basic guide for his skills, leveling order, tips and tricks, as well as some combos. So without further ado, let's jump straight into talking about Draven's loadout. So, the first things first is obviously you want to start off with Gluttonous Greaves. So this one pretty much gives you, at AD Omnivamp, two stats that Draven finds the most important. Draven just wants AD and kind of lifesteal basically. So you do have other options. So your first other option is to go for attack speed boots because you don't have any attack speed in this build at all. But I think that this is a pretty big waste because attack speed is a lot less important than just pure AD and the lifesteal. Another option you have is actually going to be the Boots of Dynamism, which is the Lethality boots. Now, with this, you're basically trading Omnivamp for Armor Pen. So, the Armor Pen boots can be very effective in the early stages of the game, especially as you are trying to snowball, and of course you're trying to do damage in the early game. But of course, in the later stages of the game, that boots is basically going to be useless. Whereas with Gluttonous Greaves, it's kind of a sure thing where it's always going to be useful. So, of course, Draven is a very early game kind of style champion. So you do, of course, want to focus on early game. So it's not that bad of an option. So first item you want to go is going to be for your Bloodthirster. So your Bloodthirster obviously gives you the huge amount of AD from the passive as well, the attack speed, the huge Omnivamp, and obviously just all the kind of stats that Draven loves. And next up we are going for IE. IE of course gives you again more AD, more damage basically. So I'm gonna point out Collector. So a lot of people like to go for Collector either before Bloodthirster or after Bloodthirster. But personally, I don't like going for Collector because once again, I feel that it is very inconsistent because Collector really isn't that useful. Like that 5% is kind of useful for trying to get a cash in, but really is not. So you're mainly going for Bloodthirster for the Armor Pen, and if you really want Armor Pen, you might as well just go for Armor Pen boots. Of course, you could go for both, but I really think Armor Pen again is really good in the earlier parts, but even though as a Draven you want to close out the game in like 15 minutes or so, in reality that never happens. So normally what happens is the game still makes it to 20 minutes, but it's just that you're a lot more you have a lot more items than your enemy and you still need time to close out the game. So by that time Collector is going to be really useless, so I don't like going for Collector. Then next item I'm going to go for a small reminder. Of course, Armor Pen, Grievous Wounds, crit, standard stuff. And last item, you don't really have a lot of good options for crit items here, so I'm actually going to go for Shield Bow. Gives you again more good stats, more Omnivamp, and of course the Lifeline Shield. And for your last item is going to be the usual suspects of going to be your GA, of course, for the revive and armor if you need that. Against magic damage, of course, you have your Maw. If you want to go more offensive, you have Triforce. And if you didn't go for Shield Bow, you can go for Sterex. But of course, don't go for this if you have Shield Bow. And then you have Crown, of course, for the anti-burst. And then for the runes, you actually have a couple options. So you can go for Conqueror, which is the most popular option, which is what I like to go for. Gives you AD and Omnivamp. But because you have no attack speed, actually Lethal Tempo is really good as well. Of course, this allows you to stack up the attack speed and allows you to attack faster. Another option you have, which is the one I like the least, is actually going to be Kraken Slayer, which of course every 3 attacks you deal true damage. This scales off of your bonus AD, which you have a lot of, especially from your first 2 items. And yeah, so I personally like to take Conqueror or Lethal Tempo sometimes, but I don't really like Kraken Slayer, but it is viable. So we have Brutal, of course, for the on-hit damage on champions. This one's pretty obvious because you attack a lot. And here I actually like to take Last Stand, or, of course, against tanky teams you can go for Giant Slayer, but I like to take Last Stand most of the time. And the reason for this is you want to get kills in lane, of course. And with Last Stand, generally, even when you're trading very aggressively, you're going to get low as well. So you're going to do more damage with your lower, and this is going to try to help you get your kills in lane or get your first and second kill to get those cash-ins and to start snowballing from there. And of course, because we have no attack speed in this build at all, I like to go for Alacrity instead of going for more Omnivamp, which we already have a lot of in this build from all of our items, so we don't need that. And I like to go for Bone Plating once again for the laning phase. And Flash, of course, and Exhaust, because you want to, of course, exhaust people in lane and get kills on them. Ghost could be an option as well, but I think Exhaust is generally better for those kind of champions that you want to 1v1 on, like Draven. So all that said, let's just move on to talking about the gameplay. Okay, so now moving on to the gameplay. Of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will of course be sure to address them. So of course, kind of the dream scenario of Draven is pretty much to obviously just get a couple kills early and snowball, but that's not really possible every game. With Draven, like what kind of supports does he like to play with? Basically anything aggressive. Could be an aggressive enchanter like Nami here, for example, Karma, for example. Could be any kind of aggressive engaged tank like Alistar, Leona, Nautilus, whatever. He basically just doesn't really want someone passive. Like a Lulu is not really what he wants, because he's not really hyper carry. I mean, Lulu could be useful if you get fed and then you get protected, but to get you fed, Lulu does not exactly help in that sense. And you definitely don't want something like a Sona, for example. Like that would be horrible. You basically never want to pick Draven with a Sona. Yeah. So basically, the name of the game with Draven is patience, because especially if you're not in low elo, in like, I mean, honestly, even in gold, probably people know that Draven wants to snowball, unless they've never played against this champ before, but basically everybody knows Draven wants to get kills early and snowball. So basically, a lot of times Draven players are going to get baited into situations that are not favorable. So you see here, all I'm doing is, you can see whenever I get a chance, I'm getting a free auto on the Thresh, a free auto on the Thresh, and essentially I'm just poking him down. You can see he's now like this kind of HP, so sometimes people get overly aggressive, like flash forward, etc. But know that most of the time when you do that, you're likely to never get the kill. And the reason for that is, number one, the Thresh has CC, he has a hook and he has a flay, which he has not used. Number two, he still has his flash, he has his ignite, Samira has exhaust and flash as well, so they have all the summoner spells, and when everyone's summoner spells are up, it's normally not very likely you get a kill, of course, unless they forget to use it, they make a mistake, or they use it too late, that kind of deal, but generally you can't really get kills. So really with Draven, it's about patience. So here, you want to play the lane aggressively. You can see here, we're slowly stacking up a wave. We want to basically get a big wave so they can fight us, which they wouldn't really want to anyways. We can try to deny some minions, small wins, and of course just try to land as much auto attacks as possible. But of course you see now we're in a bit of a precarious position, a little bit overextended here because the wave has not really crashed. So here I'm just trying to find more poke onto Thresh again, and I'm trying to crash this wave in so that we don't get ganked by the enemy Jace jungle. So here we get the crash. And here, honestly, there's not too much we can really do here at this point, but we don't really want to back here because the reason is that we have already chunked on the enemy laner, so if they back, we can get tower plates, but if we back, they just get to back as well and they get their health back, so that's no good. So here, Thresh has actually backed himself without the Samira. Of course, we don't really know this, although we can suspect it. So in the meanwhile, we're just going to zone Samira away from the minions. We baited her W already here, and Thresh is back, so now we obviously know that he has gone back. So now no real point staying anymore because Thresh isn't really in a range to like have any kind of kill potential, so we're just gonna back. So no sums blown on any side yet. Everyone's still at full HP, nothing too much is happening, and this is very common because if we overcommit into Thresh and Samira, they can kill us obviously. You get hooked by Thresh, played by Thresh, Samira just full combos you and you just die, and there goes all your stacks, and you know you're not gonna snowball from there. And or if you play overly aggressive, the jungle comes and ganks, you die, and you know it all goes bad. So basically you want to be patient, but at the same time you don't want to just do nothing, right? Patience doesn't really mean you do nothing. You still want to play aggressive, you still want to get yourself in a position that if your jungler comes you can get a kill, or if the enemy makes a mistake you can get a kill. So you play aggressive but don't play overly aggressive is basically the way to play Draven. Of course I'm not the best Draven player here, but this is basically how I think Draven is probably supposed to be played. I've seen some really good Dravens play very aggressively. Of course this is also another playstyle, and of course you have to be really good with Draven to do that, like in terms of not missing your X catches and knowing your damage output, etc. But as someone who is just above average at Draven, I'm not the best Draven. I catch most of my X's but not all of them, like that one there. And I know Draven's damage roughly, but not really to the T. So I don't really want to take any unnecessary risk and just basically end up dying here. So here I'm just stacking my passive stacks to get a huge cash in later on, and I'm really looking for that juicy cash in, of course without overcommitting. And the more stacks you have, the more pressure you're generally gonna feel to try to get a cash in, or before you die, that kind of thing. But you really should try not to, as in you should try not to feel the pressure of playing overly aggressive, because of course you have a lot to gain but you also have a lot to lose. So you want to just play patiently. Here we actually get hooked by Thresh into the Samira combo. And here it's starting to get a bit dicey. Samira's actually really low, so I'm actually waiting for an opportunity to get an auto attack on her. I wait for her to use W, which she does, and I manage to ult her down and finally actually pick up the kill. So you see there, basically the patience paid off, essentially, from the poking them, and they could not really finish us off. And the fact that Thresh got CC caused Samira to overcommit onto us, and basically this is exactly what I mean by the enemy team makes a mistake and you capitalize on it. A lot of times you don't even have to do anything overly aggressive. They pretty much caught me out with the hook, but because we were in a better position in the lane, when Samira went in, basically me and Nami were able to burst her down, and you know, some jungle action happened as well, and we are able to secure the kill here. So here I'm trying to, I tried to actually help over the wall to disrupt the Samira ult, but unfortunately I did not get the E onto her. So here enemy team does pick up the dragon, and there's nothing too much that I can really do here, so I'm just going to go back to lane and pick up some farm. Of course, after you get your cash in, you're going to be, of course, in a really dominant position. You can see that my goal is still less than Annie. Annie's like 2-0 and 2, so some feeding has been going on in the mid lane from my team. And, you know, Jace is also really decently fed, especially considering I got such a huge cash in there. It's quite amazing that there are two people on the enemy team that are similar in goal to me. Of course, when you get a huge cash in, you should be the highest goal in the game in general. But the fact that that is not the case, or technically it is the case now, but the fact that that wasn't the case just now, it kind of shows that you know, our team is really not doing well. And in fact, you will see that in this whole game, my team just does not do well. You can see that already. Set 1-2-1, Lee Sin is 1-3, and Teemo's also 1-3. So yeah, it's not looking too good for my team. The enemy team picks up both Dragon and Herald, so it's really not an ideal start. Me and my team and the enemy team are even in goal, which is catastrophic considering that with Draven's extra goal mechanic, my team should have a goal lead. So the fact that we're only even is pretty bad. So here Nami hits away from downtown, I get hooked again. I'm hitting my ult and I disrupt Samira. Nice bubble by the Nami, and I'm able to get the cash in here. Really good CC by both me and Nami to hit all of our spells, and because of that we're able to pick up the kill. If not, obviously I could have died there. And here you can see the Bloodthirster coming into play, basically healing me all the way back up to full health. Now here Thresh is in really big danger because, you know, obviously I have more than enough damage to kill him, which I do, and get another cash in. But a lot of times when people play against Draven, they don't realize that whenever they're alone under tower, they are not safe. Because Draven has so much damage that he can do one of two things. Number one, he can pretty much walk under tower himself and kill that person who's under tower just by himself, as long as he doesn't get CC'd under the tower. Now here Samira tries some funny business. The fed Annie for some reason tries to come in and basically just gives me a free shutdown, so I'm getting really fed. I'm 4-0 now. But back to my point about the tower is, number one, what can happen is Draven can by himself kill someone under tower, or number two, like what you saw here, is you can get your support to tank the tower for you, and you basically are guaranteed a kill. The worst case scenario is your support dies and you get a kill. The best case scenario is you get a kill and your support survives. So there's pretty much no scenario in which Draven doesn't get a kill on you under tower if you are alone. Of course, if your jungle is nearby or whatnot, that's a different story. But if you're truly alone, Draven can kill you under tower if he's like even or ahead. Like if he's behind, obviously its story is different. But yeah, so Thresh made a big mistake by not recalling there or by not running away from his tower. So now, off of that huge like 3 kills, we basically get an entire Infinity Edge. So we're super duper fat now. You can see we're like basically almost 9k gold in the game, and you can see that the next closest person is Jace with 7k gold. So this is kind of the sweet spot where you want to be as a Draven. Of course, as I said, this doesn't happen every match, but playing Draven from behind is also something, it's another skill entirely. But now that when you're ahead, you want to push your advantage. But the issue with wanting to push your advantage is my team is not doing well. So here you can see I get randomly whacked by an Annie. Thankfully she already used her combo, and she just basically gets destroyed by me. Nami picks up the kill. No cash in for me, but that's alright. Yeah, so here we see Samira and Thresh. So here I'm just getting some tower damage. Obviously if they come and fight us, we are going to be all A-okay, because obviously we're way ahead of them. It's really just like the Annie and the Jace for now mainly we need to be concerned about. And yeah, so we really want to push our advantage, but you can see that okay, so Jace here just randomly tries to engage. We get a shutdown on him as well, so we've got Annie shutdown and Jace's shutdown, so we're so fed now at over 10k gold, 2k gold ahead of anybody else in the game. But yeah, so basically the issue with being fed as a Draven when your team is not doing well is you can see here that I'm the only person fed. So as a fed Draven, I can carry a team who's completely feeding, but basically I just need my whole team to stand in front of me and take all the damage while I stay safe in the backline and dish out all the damage. Especially in this game where there isn't really an assassin. Like Fiora and Jace can dive backline, but it's really difficult. So my biggest threat is going to be just Annie comboing me. But if I'm able to avoid that, and if I'm able to stay in the backline, I can easily kill anybody on their team relatively easily because I have so much damage at this point in time. So all I have to do is stay behind my teammates, and all my teammates have to do to let me carry is to just let themselves, get hit by just standing in front of me, basically. So here, a little bit over aggressive by the set. I get a huge ult onto 3 people from across the Dragon Pit, and I think off of my damage, my team is basically able to finish off basically all of the kills. And now we see, now as a fat Draven, you're starting to turn the game around. Like, you can translate your lead to your other teammates. Like, because of that lead that I got, I was able to basically get my teamo, kills, 2 kills, and I think like Lee Sin or Set got the other one. I think Lee Sin got the other one. So here, Thresh makes the same mistake again. This time it's a 3-man dive instead, so I have no idea why he's trying to defend the tower when he already couldn't even defend against a 2-man dive when I was less fed. So he once again basically makes the mistake of trying to defend the dive. So here I'm trying to pick up the blue buff because Draven is very mana hungry, and also to deny the enemy team, but Teemo just comes over and yoinks the blue buff, even though he is kind of feeding at this point. And he has like a Luden's Echo, which is kind of like a troll build. I'm 5k gold ahead of him, but hey, teammates always do these kind of things, so the most important thing here is to not get tilted and pretty much just continue playing the game. I've seen so many games where you have like one fed member, let's say in this hypothetical scenario, let's say my Lee Sin is fed, right? Or Lee Sin's jungle, so maybe that's not a good example. Let's say my set is fed. Let's say he's like 6-0 set, right? He tries to go for the buff, and then Teemo just takes the buff, and then he'll just like AFK the game, or he'll try to surrender, or he'll just start trolling, that kind of thing. The most important thing is to not lose your mental if things like that happen. There are always going to be teammates who are going to do this kind of things. It's just part and parcel of the game, and you may or may not do these kind of things yourself. So just keep calm and yeah, just keep playing. So here we're trying to get a catch on Fiora, but Fiora survives for way too long, and he gets a full combo on me, including the second charge of the ulti. I try to stasis and flash away, but unfortunately I'm not able to survive, and I end up dying to Samira. And you can see that after I die, basically it's just a cleanup game for the enemy team, because obviously I'm basically the only fed member on my team. Honestly, the rest of my team is kind of slowly catching up to the enemy team, but basically, obviously, I'm the main carry of my team, and after I die, there goes my team's entire gold lead that we have over the enemy team. So thankfully, my team are able to actually salvage some kills, and eventually, my team is indeed able to kill all of them, which of course I'm very happy about. So really good that my team can get stuff done without me being around, which is amazing. So we are able to eventually come out on top of that fight, and especially now you can see the goal is starting to close. Like Lee Sin's only now slightly behind Jace, and now of course in terms of Set and Teemo, they're now roughly the same goal as their counterparts. So basically now once again I'm basically my team's entire goal lead. Lee Sin is of course like 1k behind, but I'm basically my team's entire goal lead because everyone else is basically even in terms of goal. So here I'm trying to wait for Lee Sin to pick up the blue buff so I can get a copy. And yeah, so here you can see that we're kind of transitioning into like the mid and late game already. Now we're reaching like 14 minutes into the game, and you can see that now I have 3 full items including my stasis. Not including my stasis, but 3 full items plus stasis, which is what I described in the item build. But here once again trying to just deny the enemy blue buff here, and yeah, so here we obviously want to be closing out the game, but it's really difficult when you have a very uncoordinated team. Here a random fight breaks out without me being around, but since basically this is actually not a bad fight because the enemy team basically already used all their spells on other people that's not me. So here I'm just basically coming in for the cleanup. Fiora has pretty much nowhere to run. I get the kill on Fiora and the cash in as well. And here, honestly, I could have continued fighting here, but I didn't want to just run hit first into the enemy team because I really wasn't sure like where people are. Like if they're gonna set a trap. Like if I get chain CC'd by like Thresh and Annie, that would be horrible. so I don't want to just run face first at them, even though there are multiple low health bars. So sometimes, of course, especially when you're very fed, sometimes it's a little bit better to just play safer rather than try to play overly aggressive. But yeah, so now the Ocean Dragon is up, and pretty much just gonna be a fight here. So here I'm just stacking more axes and just pretty much just attacking the dragon a little bit. Enemy team does come, so I'm gonna have to wait for my team to kind of just show up. I don't believe they have vision here, which is kind of why I'm walking there. I run face first into a hook from Thresh again, but as you guys can see, they don't quite have enough damage to kill me. Samira tries to go in but gets instantly popped. Annie is off to the side and she already used her full combo, so the fact that she did not use her full combo on me pretty much means that I'm relatively safe here. So here I flash forward to try to kill Annie, who's pretty much been the biggest problem for me the whole match. And I'm not able to actually finish the kill on Annie. I'm still on the chase for Annie. I'm thinking that it's only Annie for us. I try to hop over and kill Annie, but this is like a huge mistake here. So I thought Seth was helping me tank, and basically here I just end up dying to Fiora. Now, the mistake there was obviously being way too greedy for the Annie and blast planting over when that was not what I should have done at all. But then Seth kind of sold me out by not helping me tank, by pretending to help me tank the tower, but then not actually helping me tank the tower, and I ended up tanking the tower shots, which ended up basically killing me, which is yeah, it's just a complete tragedy basically. And yeah, so I do end up dying there. That was a really stupid death, but especially because we want to be closing out the game, and dying does not contribute to closing out the game. But yeah, so as I mentioned, it's really common that as a Draven, you really want to close out games early, but that's really not possible because majority of the time, basically it's impossible to close out games really quickly. Like, of course it's not impossible, but it's just really rare. Like, unless your whole team is stomping them and you're stomping them as well, then maybe you can end the game in like 15 minutes legitimately, but this is really rare. So what you're going to see here is going to be the Draven trying to close out a game problem. So you can see here I'm really fed. But you can see now Samira's already on 3 items. Jace is like full lethality on 4 items. He can basically one-shot me. And Annie's at 3 items with Death Cap, level 13. So now the enemy team is basically just starting to scale up and they're starting to become really scary. So here, I really want to try to end the game quickly. I have my shield bow now, so I can go for my last item. So honestly, I decided that GA is probably a better item in this game, because reviving from Annie's burst is going to make a lot more sense than trying to get Maw, because Maw really protects you a little bit, but it's not going to completely negate the burst damage from Annie, which I feel like is the main problem at the moment. So I think GA is going to be better. So I'm going to build towards GA. For this match. So Elder Dragon is coming up in 20 seconds. This is going to be the next big fight, and honestly it's probably going to be the game-ending fight if either team gets Elder Dragon and is able to get a decisive team fight win over the other team, but we'll of course see what happens. So here obviously both teams hovering around the Elder area. Set's getting vision for me, so I'm pretty safe here. Set huge CC. I'm able to basically two-shot the Annie before she uses any spells, which is a huge win. Fiora tries to go for me, but I miss my ulti here, and Fiora basically just runs away. Here, basically, with 3 enemies dead, this is basically a free Elder Dragon. My team gets really greedy and ends up chasing the enemy team. Lee Sin ends up dying, which is our jungler, of course, which does put this Elder in a little bit more jeopardy. Fiora picks up a kill on Teemo as well, and now Nami is on the run, which is not an incredibly stupid decision by my team to just chase. Why not just go for the Elder Dragon and get a free Elder Dragon? But anyways, we do get Elder. Set does pick up the kill. Here I'm just attacking to maintain my spinning axis, because I don't want to go back down to 1 axe and have to reactivate my spinning axis. So now with the Elder, we're going to just push in this tower. We get the top inhibitor, which is pretty huge, but because of the enemy team's desynced respawn timers, we have 3 enemies that are back up, the 3 that died at the start of the fight. Here Annie tries to full combo me again, but honestly at this point somehow she's doing really little damage. Now here Set, for some reason, ults back into the enemy team and he ends up basically dying. I think that if he ulted someone out, I might have been able to actually burst them, which is why I did not think that ulting to the enemy team was such a good idea. On the way out, I'm not only going to deny the Raptors, but I'm also going to use it to lifesteal back to basically full health. So I'm basically just full resources at the moment. I don't really have to back unless I can buy some important item for GA, so I'm just farming the wave. Nami gets caught trying to back, and I'm just gonna run away basically. So here it gets a bit dicey because Set died, Nami died, And now, of course, Teemo and Lee Sin doesn't have Elder, so basically I'm the only person with Elder. Here, Jace gets baited and basically gets one shot, but here I also pretty much just get one shot by the Annie. Wasn't able to pop my stasis in time and pretty much just got chain CC. Here Lee Sin getting run down by Samira, flashes forward, exhaust, auto, gets the kill, and Set is now basically the only person alive. So basically this means it's a free Baron for the enemy team, and doesn't look like there's very much that we can really do about it. So Annie picks up the Baron for her team, and you can see that now this is getting to a really long match kind of territory. It's already at 20 plus minutes, and now I'm basically full build with my GA. Of course, this time ready to revive if Annie is able to one-shot me, or Jace for that matter. Although Jace hasn't really been doing that the entire match, but he of course has the item build that is pretty much able to one-shot me. Although ironically, he has 4 lethality items, which adds up to like 15 plus 10, 25, 33, plus another like what, 15. So he has like 40, 53 or 52 or 53 kind of armor pen, which is like with my 40 armor from GA already kind of negates almost all the lethality that he got, because as you guys know, lethality kind of falls off in the late game because of armor items. So he maybe isn't gonna even be able to do that much damage to me with my GA. Yeah, so that was the damage he did to me, about a quarter of my health, which is a decent amount, but it's not as high as it should have or could have been. Should have been like half my health probably. But here the enemy team overextends on the side lane, and we're going to punish. Fiora is a really tanky character. You can see it takes 1 eternity to kill her, even though I'm like super fed and full build. She actually is running away. If she didn't stasis here, I think she would have stood a better chance, but we are able to kill her and get the cash in. A cash in doesn't actually matter at this point anymore because obviously we're full build. So in the meantime, the enemy team is trying to push in their other lanes. Thresh kind of overstays a little bit, but we're not quite able to catch him. Jace poke goes down, and here I'm going to have to pop the stasis, which did immune Annie's bear. So I'm going to flash away because I'm taking a lot of damage, and I'm going to lifesteal off of these minions so I don't have to walk all the way back to base, which is going to waste a lot of time. And here, Jace pretty much just gets baited, and I'm able to finish off the kill onto Jace, which is really important because of course he's the jungle, and the Elder Dragon is going to come up in I think like 45 or so seconds. There we go, 45 seconds. So Jace is going to respawn around the time that the dragon spawns, so he's gonna have to run all the way over if he wants to contest this Elder Dragon. So here, pretty close game as you guys can see. Both teams pretty much have all of their towers gone except for the inhibitors, and enemy team has lost 1 inhibitor. Next Elder is coming up, which is obviously probably going to be where the game is determined. I know I said that about the last one, but obviously based on the length of the video you can kind of see that that was not quite true. But here it pretty much should be the case. At this point, so 10 seconds more to the spawn of the Elder Dragon, and we're hitting the fruit to maintain the spinning axis. We don't actually need the fruit obviously, but we don't want to have to start spinning more axes again basically. So here we're just gonna start bursting down the Elder Dragon. Of course we do this really fast as a full build ADC. Enemy team can see this happening and we are able to get it. Jace tries to come in for the steal, does actually quite a bit of damage here. But Shield Boy is going to protect me, and of course I have GA as well. So here at this point, pretty much the game is won. Once again, Fiora is trying to scamper away, and here Annie's also trying to just run in the opposite direction. I'm trying to finish the Annie. It's personal. You know, Annie's been one-shotting me so many times. I'm just chasing her down and just killing her. Once again, just picking up the minions, and we're going to get the wave in. Fiora and Thresh are the only 2 left alive. Should be able to easily end. Here we're just going to finish off the Fiora before we do that, and now Thresh is kind of the next target, but I'm just going to go for the base. Now I see the Thresh, now I'm just going for the Thresh, just getting, you know, a bit of for fun kind of damage, and the game does indeed end. So there we have it. I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.